Hey guys, awesome to see you. This is a long awaited guest. I remember I tried to call you before COVID. You said, hey, maybe after that, maybe sometime I can come down and do this.
I remember.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and now we got you. And I'll tell you, people around, our town here, and, you're going to see a bunch of guys tonight that you left a huge impression on. I mean, because you were both at Jackson and Wellston, and this community misses you, and a lot of people are going to be tuning in to hear this. So, I mean, I guess where we can start is, how in the world did you ever wind up in Jackson, Ohio?
Yeah, that's a good question. Hey, my high school coach was Jody Michael.
Yeah.
And I was in West Virginia. He'd taken the job at Wellston at the time.
Okay.
This is 1973.
Yes. Okay.
And he said, hey, I need you at Wellston. So I said, well, okay.
Yeah.
So I go to Wellston. He said, now you're the head baseball coach. Yeah. He fired the baseball coach. And he was a good coach too, Hendershot.
Oh yeah.
He fired him. Then he fired the whole football staff. Anyway, he fired everybody. Named me the head baseball, head wrestling, and assistant football.
Okay.
So I ended up with him at Wellston. Didn't really know much about Wellston at the time, and I was there for 2 years. Then I got a job at Salem College.
Okay.
And but now how did I get to Jackson? Oh, okay. My mother got sick in 1986, and we were in Virginia coaching at St. Paul's College. I was head football coach at St. Paul's College in Virginia. It was a dominant black college. I was the only white head football coach at a predominantly black college at that time in the United States.
Yeah. Okay.
Believe it or not. So anyway, I had called I had 3 interviews in Ohio at the time. Let's see, it was Washington Courthouse, Jackson, and Centennial.
Oh, okay.
One weekend, had 3 interviews because we're moving to Ohio.
Yeah.
Back home to my mom. And was offered, actually, the principal and the superintendent came down to St. Paul's College and after my interview here to check to see if they really wanted me here. And so anyway, they checked me out real good, and they called me on the way home and said they want me to take the job. So of the 3 jobs, that was the best one because I'd been at Wellston, and I know Jackson was a football town, and I wanted a football town. Right.
So like out of the 3, if you could have picked one, it would have been here.
It was there. I was hoping they'd call.
Okay.
But during this interview, the reason they called, really, I had them in a real bind.
Yeah.
Because when they called or came down to visit me at St. Paul's, the phone rang twice while they were in my office.
Yeah.
From Centennial, and I made sure they heard my discussion.
Yeah.
That I'd been offered those 2 jobs. So, they said we would call you on the way home, which they did at 10 o'clock at night. They called and said, yes. So that was an easy pick.
Easy choice once that happened.
Yep.
So now let's go to this. And Mike, this is where you'll be jumping in a little bit. So you get to Jackson. The football program was not in the best of shape. There were young guys like us at that time.
What you mean is it was going to be an easy turnaround?
No.
That's what he was thinking.
Yeah. I mean, were you thinking that, like, what did you expect, I guess, versus what you saw when you got here?
Well, here's what I saw. I saw Mike Abrams.
Yeah.
6'5", about 240 or something.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Doug Kidd.
Yeah.
Sean Sexton.
Yeah.
Butch Cooper.
Yeah. Big John Meredith.
Another Sexton.
J.J. Brown.
Sexton. J.J. Brown. I thought, my God. We'd turn this thing around maybe in one day.
Yeah.
I'm saying, well, they hadn't won a game, I don't think.
No, not one.
I think they were actually 1-19.
Yeah. I think at that point that
2
was
previous years.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, this is going to work out good.
Yeah.
Then the first game at halftime, I'm thinking, hey, wasn't quite as good as I thought it would be. Anyway.
Well, you probably did it hit you like, man, we've got these guys got size. They probably could be good players. but man, they don't believe, or
Yeah.
I mean, you know,
That's
we
all it was.
wouldn't fight. I mean,
That was all
right?
it was.
I mean, we were just beat down.
They were. That's all it was. Well, one thing, Chris Irvin was the quarterback too.
Yes.
And then after I took the job, they said, "Hey," because I saw Chris and he was a really good-looking athlete.
Oh yeah.
They said, "Now he can't throw at night."
Oh.
Yeah, I said, "Well, I think all of our games are at night."
yeah.
Well, he throws to the other team or something.
Yeah.
Made some kind of deal
I
like
think
that.
you used that later on a few times.
Yeah.
But anyway, Chris Irvin was a good player for us, and all those guys are the reason. Hate to say this, Chad, but there are a lot of the reasons why you're enjoying the success you are right now.
Oh, there's no question.
Hey, those kids bought into what we were doing, and it wasn't easy.
No.
That's what I was going to point out. It's never easy to get people to buy in when they're not used to winning it.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you what. I mean, I think it was there was a lot of things that went into that.
Yeah.
And as a kid, when you're in the program, you don't realize the kind of stuff that you were thinking about at night.
Right.
Like probably keeping you awake.
I slept good. I made sure some other people weren't sleeping.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah.
But I mean, we had, if you think about like the stuff that started happening immediately, you know, the weight room,
That was one thing.
the whole attitude of, hey man,
Hey,
don't take anything. Enough of this stuff, man.
George Davis bought a weight room down in Parkersburg, West Virginia.
Yeah.
He's a truck guy, right?
Yeah.
And he took a semi down there and brought all the weights from this one fitness center.
Yeah.
And we had like these dumbbells, 50-pound dumbbells.
Yeah.
It took two of our guys to carry in one dumbbell. Hey, I mean, we were getting beat up because we weren't very tough and wasn't very strong.
Yeah.
It was mental though, because these are tough guys. I mean,
sure.
These are all tough. Hey, the names I named, they're
Well, I mean, that's the good thing about
Yeah.
a place like Jackson is, and Wellston too. Like, you're not going to have to worry about it. You've got some tough kids.
Tough.
You got to bring it out of them.
I coached 54 years. The toughest guys I've ever had were in Jackson and Wellston. There's no question about that.
You know, you think back, though, looking at it now, and you say one of the hardest jobs you probably had was convincing everyone back in that weightlifting was actually good for everyone.
Well, you had like
nobody wanted to
well,
believe
well,
it. They
and I'll
thought
tell
it
you
was
what you
gonna hurt
had is
everybody.
like at that point, it just wasn't something that anybody was bought into, right? I mean, and then the other thing, then you got like I'm ripping on the basketball or baseball coaches, but at that time, like the thought was, oh, that'll throw off your shot or something, you know, and it's like, no, actually, if you're playing any sport of any kind, you should be lifting weights.
Right.
You'll get better.
Right.
But I think you probably had to fight that though.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I had to be willing to make people mad.
Right.
So the basketball coach got mad at me. The baseball coach got mad at me. The superintendent got mad. Principal, they were all mad at me
Yeah.
because I was doing something that they weren't used to.
Well, I mean, that's what it takes to turn something around, though, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
My goal was to turn it around.
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to make friends,
That.
but and I didn't make too many. I know, but that wasn't the goal. My goal was to turn this program around.
Yeah.
And the kids that were most responsible were that team that I had in 1985, I think. The first year I was here.
87?
85, 86, something there.
Yeah.
Hey, those kids, the Coopers, the Sextons, and then the Abrams, and all those kids I had,
Yeah.
they did everything I asked them to do. I think we won 2 games.
Well, I mean, it's a rebuilding process. Like, what do you talk about that? Like, how long you've done this? This isn't the only place you've come and turned something around.
This is what you like.
This is kind of your
like
specialty,
it.
I think.
like it.
What's your process?
Process is getting the kids to trust you, not like you, but trust. They trust you.
Yeah.
They believe that you know what you're doing. They kind of buy into the weight program, which our kids did at Jackson for sure.
Yeah.
And they did at Wellston, same thing. Yeah. They bought into the weight program, number one. I looked at the schedule and I thought, why can't we win every game? And they're looking at the schedule thinking, hey, we can't win any game. They thought Logan was good. They thought everybody else was better.
Yeah, right,
So
right.
We got to convince these kids, hey, they're not better. In fact, we proved it. Now, the first year I was at Jackson, our freshman team, Well, start with the 7th grade. They played on Wednesday or Thursday, I think. Wednesday. They'd come back from a away game. What's the score? Oh, we got beat 50-0. Well, the 8th grade came back. How'd that go? 50-0. JV got beat. Varsity got. Everyone was losing. I mean, everybody. The whole program. The last year I was here, the 5th, 7th grade came back. I said, how'd that go? We killed him, 50-0. It was just the opposite.
Yeah.
The 7th, 8th, and 9th grade JV team did not lose a game.
Yeah.
We lost 2 games at the high school. So we were 8-2. Everybody else was undefeated.
See, and don't you think though that's kind of that becomes a mentality and an expectation in a program from the top down?
Top down.
That once they start believing, and that's the trajectory. Like those guys that you're talking about, it started there, and man, I don't know that we've had a handful of losing seasons since 1990.
I don't think you've had any.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
2 losing seasons in 32 years.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, 1990 when we won, like we won the championship that year of the league, and we hadn't won it in like 10 years or more. Right. But like when we did that, I just remember, that year. What did we go on 3-7 the year before?
I don't know.
That's where we finished in Galples. I mean, I don't know.
Well,
I mean, or was that a 2-8?
I don't know for sure about that,
but that
There was
Galples
a 4-6 in there. When 3-7, I think you're right.
Yeah,
then 8-2, then 6-4,
8-2.
There's one thing here. When we were here, when I was here, like the kids were willing to do just whatever I asked them to do. They really were. Yeah. Joel Wood was our quarterback. Yeah. The first game.
Yes.
And we were behind 40-0, I think, at halftime.
Yeah.
So I said, Joel, the next game, I said, hey, you're wide receiver.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, his parents never complained.
Nope.
Nobody said a word. He played wide receiver.
He didn't either. He just started playing.
He did. Hey, and we put Morgan, this guy here, in at quarterback. He wasn't a whole lot better at that time.
Yeah, what was he, about 13 years old at that time?
But after 40 games, he got pretty good.
Yeah.
Because he played 39 games after that.
Yeah.
And him and Ryan Mapes and a whole bunch of them, they just did whatever I asked them to do. Didn't always like it. Their parents never said a word, never heard anything from their parents. They just did what I asked them to do.
Yeah.
So.
And we got better.
And maybe their parents did say something. In fact, my wife was in the stands, and she'd come home when I first got here, and she'd say, started telling me about all the people saying something in the stands. I said, do not tell me one thing they're saying in the stands. I could care less what they're saying. And if you listen to the people, because she'd name them off. Well, so-and-so said that. Hey, they were friends. Well, now we're not friends. Hey, if I knew what everybody was saying, I'd have no friends.
Yeah, you'd hate everybody.
I didn't have very many the way it was. I'd like to have at least 4 or 5 that I could maybe like.
Yeah.
But let me mention one other guy's name at Jackson too. It was Ron Fennick. He passed away here a while back.
Yeah.
But he was another guy that had my back. When you're losing and you're trying to build.
Yeah.
Like at a sideliners meeting one time, a guy said, "Hey, now do you tell your guys to let them catch the pass and then just try to strip it?" Oh my! And I'm thinking, yes.
Yeah.
That's what I.
Yeah,
I
that's
said,
what we're into, man.
I said yes. No, he said serious. I said, yeah. Hey, you asked a dumb question. There's a dumb answer. Now that was my attitude. I didn't care who it was. But our kids, I did care what they thought.
Yeah.
And they wanted to win worse than anybody. They and they started to believe it a little bit. The first year wasn't good. The second year was a little better. Third year a little bit better. And then about the third year, we got pretty good.
Yeah.
And what you mentioned already is that last game of the season that year. Galpales, I think, was 8-1. We were like 1-8.
Yeah.
And we went down to Galpales and beat them.
Yeah.
And that's when they all started believing.
That's when the buy-in. I mean, everybody was ready.
They bought in.
Then we started thinking, hey, you know what? We're pretty good.
I know it. I knew it before that.
Yeah.
But the kids didn't know it.
Yeah.
And I remember at the end of school, I went to the office and told them, hey, I need a team meeting at the end of school because the word was getting out that, hey, they're going to fire Blackstone. I mean, 2-8. I'm thinking, oh, boy. So I had nothing to lose.
Well, right.
So we had this team meeting in the gym, and I told them all, you say one word on that bus, you're getting off. I'll dump you right off the bus. I mean, I knew this was my last game.
Yeah, yeah,
And I was going down with a fight.
yeah, yeah.
So we go to Galpalesso, and we ended up beating them. It was close, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You know what? the
Yeah,
score
I
was?
can't remember the score.
It was close.
Yeah,
It was close.
But we won.
Yeah, we did. And we kind of controlled the game, too.
We did.
It was
You
physical.
know, yeah,
It was a physical
really
game.
physical.
We had a punter. What was his name?
John Beatty,
No.
that was the
For
next one.
him.
Yeah.
Before him.
Oh, he was in, Joel punted, didn't he?
No. No. I know this
Was,
punter.
was,
I can't
was
think of
he
his
in
name.
George's class?
I don't know, but this punter, I'll think of it later maybe. I don't know. But hey, he won the game.
Oh, yeah.
He was getting off 60-yard punts.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody was doing something they had never done before.
Yeah, yeah, that's
mean,
right.
really.
Right, right.
And we held them on the goal line down
Yeah,
there on
yeah.
the 1 foot line right before the half.
Yeah.
And went in at halftime.
We played above ourselves.
We played the best.
I mean, I think I might even had a tackle in that game. I don't know. Normally not.
I can't remember that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hey, you might have.
I might have. I don't know. This many years later, I can claim that I did.
See, it was Mike. Were you quarterback in that game?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey guys, time to pay some bills. This show brought to you tonight by Brad and Sarah Munn, owners of your local McDonald's restaurants. Brad and Sarah have done a lot for our community, and McDonald's has done a lot for all of us. You know, the statement, "I'm loving it," we can all relate to that. We've been loving it for years, and we love what they do for our communities and our families. But let me talk about a big charity that they do, and that is the Ronald McDonald House. Man, anytime you get a chance to leave your change for that, it's a great thing. They allow parents of sick children to stay with their kids at the hospital for free. And that's just the kind of things that McDonald's does. Get out and support your McDonald's restaurant.
I mean, there's only one that
Was
I did.
Bechtel playing?
No, he was he was gone.
already.
He was gone.
X-line.
He had X-Line. And,
Excellent. Well, that's good
and,
too.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Mapes
Yeah.
were
We had
back
some
there.
players.
Yeah.
We had the same players in my first year, but they didn't know they were,
Well, and then
players.
think about it. By the time that year rolled around, I mean, the process had started to work also
Yep.
in the weight room. My goodness, I bet we didn't have an offensive lineman that wasn't bench pressing 350 pounds.
Well, my last year here, every starter benched 300.
yep.
Every starter. Now, if I tell people that today, they think, well, hey, I don't know what they think.
Yeah.
But every
I
starter,
don't care what
we
they
had,
think. I
said-
saw it.
They said, even your quarterback. I said, yeah, our quarterback, 300.
Yep.
And the quarterback after him benched 300. Tommy Hill. Remember that?
Yeah.
They were all benching.
Oh,
And
yeah.
we're all squatting. And we worked hard.
Oh,
and,
my. I mean,
we'd yell and scream at him and all that, and then give him a hug or, let him know we cared about
so,
him.
some of my fondest memories of high school football were spent in that weight room.
Yep.
I mean, we were in there a lot.
We were in there. Hey, I was writing passes out of study hall.
Yes.
Hey, I never had a PE class.
I didn't
No.
either.
I had to
didn't
go to
either.
the weight room every day
Right.
Yep.
for like
I was
every day
teaching
of the year.
PE in the auditorium and sending every football player
Yeah.
to the weight room.
Yeah.
Study halls. I never had a study hall.
But see,
either.
it got to the point there, Coach, where you could send us out there by ourselves, and you knew that work was going to get done.
Oh, yeah. I didn't worry about that.
Yeah, I mean,
But I got to say, there was a time
Mm-hmm.
in my life where I don't think I ever wanted to hear the word squat or see a squat rack.
oh
ever
my God,
again.
yeah,
You needed to have something to do because if you didn't, you were doing squats.
Right.
yeah. Well, you better be busy because he'd stand by an open station, or you used to like that universal machine.
I loved
You'd
it.
stand
Yeah.
down there by that. You'd put the whole stack on the
Right.
bench.
Yeah.
And you just kind of call people over as they're
Yeah.
walking by, like,
Here,
hey,
grab
hey,
a set.
hey, get over here.
Yeah, grab a set.
Show me. Let's see how many you can do.
Hey, like I said, our kids did that first group, and they started it.
Oh yeah,
And then everybody else, that was the expectation. So after that, everybody was just, hey, we're lifting every day.
yeah.
They, someone said, I didn't think you were allowed to squat every day. Yeah, you can squat every day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, as little as you are and weak as you are, yeah.
You can.
Hey, now listen. There was one exception to the rule.
It was that.
Todd Bechtel never had to lift a weight.
Well, that guy. Now,
He was my favorite player.
It's kind of funny, you get players.
never had to lift a weight.
There's so many players. Think of the guys you've played with, coached, whatever. I mean, there are some guys, and I'm going to say there's very few,
Right.
that can basically just show up the first day,
Right.
and not do anything in the offseason and still be the best damn player on the team or whatever. I mean, Todd Bechtel, he just you wouldn't know he didn't lift.
Hey, listen,
Chad,
I don't think you've heard this story, but before, when they hired me, they said you'll win 2 games if Todd Bechtel plays. I said, who's Todd Bechtel? Well, he's talking about going no kill. I said, well, forget that. Yeah. So on the way, I swear to God, this is truth. On the way out of town, I stopped to gas up the car. And I'm gassing the car up to head back to Virginia. And this guy across the next pump is filling his car up. He had a Jackson coat on. And I said, hey, what's your name there, bud? And he said, Todd Bechtel. Now, you haven't heard this, right?
I've never heard this.
I swear to God.
Yeah.
Todd was gassing the car up. This is how it has to work.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to have a little luck. And anyway, I said, hey, what's your deal? He said, football and all. I said, hey, listen here. They just hired me as football coach. That's the day I got hired.
Yeah.
I said, you're playing at Jackson right now.
I want to hear about this Oak Hill
Hey,
stuff.
you're playing at Jackson, and I mean, hey, he's kind of tall guy, little thin, but hey, tall and athletic. I knew he was a good player. Mm-hmm. And I bought his gas. Filled his tank. Of course, gas is only like 25 cents.
Well, yeah.
I filled his tank up and tried to buy him a drink. He wouldn't take it.
Yeah.
But Todd Bechtel, no, he didn't like weights. But at like 7 o'clock one game, at home game, I called out his side. He wasn't there, and I think, God,
hey, where's he?
if we want to win 2 games, I need him here.
Yeah.
Okay. So I snuck in the office and called him. And if you could hear how he talked, well, anyway, I said, where you at? He said, I'm just heading out the door. I said, the game's at 7:30. This is 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
He said, I'm on the way. I said, yeah. So he showed up.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we won or lost, but I know we were better with him there.
Oh, my.
And Mike will tell you one time, I mean, Todd didn't always know every play.
Oh, no.
So I told Mike, I said, you make sure, because he'd go carry the ball. We played Marietta, what did he carry, 40 times?
Probably, almost every.
He called every time but one time, because after the game we had 40 carries, 40 offensive plays, and Todd had 39 carries. I said, well, because I called every play for him. Well, Mike fumbled the ball one time on a snap, and they counted that as a rep, play.
Yeah.
So, but Todd carried every play.
I was telling Jared Wiley last night, we were sitting around, and I said, hey, you came out one time to me, and you said, hey, look, I don't care if the other team, everyone on that team is running toward Bechtel. Pitch him the ball.
Right.
You don't run it.
Yeah.
Speed option. I said, hey, Mike was 13 or 14.
Yeah.
Let's
And they go kill him if he carried it.
Yeah.
So, I said, hey, speed option and pitch it.
Yeah.
And he looked like, hey, well, I pitch it.
Yeah.
That was the truth.
And he did.
Yeah.
My favorite story about Bechtel, so I was a freshman. I was 14. We'll just clarify that.
Yeah. Okay.
And he was a senior.
Yeah.
So he didn't really know what to do with us at practice because he was coaching to every position.
Yeah.
So he'd say, you guys go over and practice pitching.
Yeah.
Well, about 3 of those, and Bechtel would say, hey, I'm not doing this anymore. He'd say, hey, throw me some pass patterns. Yeah. I'm like, we're going to get in trouble. He's like, hey, we're good.
Yeah.
Then he'd say, after about 3 passes, hey, see that garden over there? Just overthrow the ball into that garden.
Yeah.
He'd go in there and get a bunch of rotten tomatoes and then come back and shove them in people's ear holes.
Yeah.
Todd
that was our practice.
He was a special.
Well, my favorite Todd Bechtel story, God bless him, man. We were on the field. I don't know whether we were at Ironton or I can't remember where it was, but I remember being in the offensive huddle, and he stands there. He goes, "Fellas, how many points you get if you just kick it through the goalpost from right here?"
That's Todd.
And it's like 3. That's a figure. Well, why don't we just do that? Heck, I could kick it from right here.
Let me tell you one more story about Todd.
Yeah.
Todd was, I mean, I loved this kid.
Yeah.
And everything about him. But anyway, I take him to Tiffin University.
Yeah.
About 3 hours away. And it's in Ohio. We get up there close to Tiffin. He said, what state are we in now? I said, we're in Ohio.
Yeah.
I don't think he'd been out of Jackson County.
Yeah.
Well, I knew right there he had no interest in college football.
Right.
So I said, hey, listen, don't say anything until we eat lunch, okay? Because we got out of the car, he said, and they had this one big building there. He said, how much hay you think that'll hold? I said, Todd, listen. After lunch, tell him whatever you want. Tell him you're not interested. Tell him thank you, whatever you want. What she did. As soon as we were done with lunch, he said, hey, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
We got in the car and drove home.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, he's the best. And then
He was
you hit on something there with like him having to coach every position, and you talked about Coach Finnick there a minute ago. I honestly, this has got to be another piece of it, which it had to help. I imagine looking back, we didn't know, but I mean, before my senior year, all of a sudden, Coach Finnick comes and starts coaching. I think that was my junior year, and then Coach Hutchison started coaching the defensive backs and stuff, and it seemed like he finally had some guys that could do some,
Yeah. We got Ron Finnick was the key.
Oh, yeah.
He had my back.
Yeah.
I know he stood up in one meeting when they were after me a little bit. He stood up and let them have it, and he didn't care. He cared about the kids.
Sure.
And that was me. That's one guy that I know that a lot of coaches say, I care about the kids. Well, hey, okay. Yeah. I care about the kids. I had a hard way of showing it sometimes. Like I tell Mike, hey, I loved him all those years. Well, there were days when he didn't know. He wouldn't have believed that I loved him at all. And you wouldn't either. And who else wouldn't? A whole bunch of them wouldn't. Wiley, he wouldn't believe it.
Nick Ting,
he wouldn't believe it. No, none of them would believe it, but I did.
I'll tell you what. We talk about turnarounds. I got to mention this story, and I know you like this guy. I'm Brett Repeth.
Oh, yeah.
He's on my team.
Yep.
You don't want me to tell that story.
Go ahead and tell it.
No, you go ahead and give it to
It's a
where's that at Warren Local?
No. This is before a JV game.
Oh, okay.
It's JV. I think we were sophomores, so
we weren't
one of my favorite. Yeah, we weren't winning much. And that night I wasn't playing JV. I was like up on we were all standing on top of the press box, and you were standing up there with us, I think. Well, before the first play of the game, I mean, they get lined up. Rip is at end. He just jumps across the line of scrimmage and just punches the guy and just goes off on him. Yeah. Of course, thrown out of the game. And so you said, hey, come, all of us followed you down. We went into the locker room. Repeth was in there. And you had everybody kind of circled up there, and you're like, hey, Repeth, a lot of coaches would come in here and chew your butt and throw you off the team or whatever. I feel like hugging you. He said it's the first time I've been here. Finally, I got somebody that wants to fight.
Right.
Yeah. I've identified a man that will fight.
Yeah, we had to teach him how to be a little tough.
Yeah.
But I thought you was going to say the story about Repeth. We're playing Warren Local.
Yeah.
And we're going up the hill there to their locker room, and we were behind, and he's taking his fist like in a cement wall.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
Hitting this wall with his fist.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, hey, why don't you hit them like that?
Yeah.
Oh, boy, he about blew a stack there on that deal. And, hey, I think second half, he might have hit a couple guys. I don't want him to hit him, with his fist, but I mean, we had helmets on, and shoulder pads.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But
Ron Finnick, what he did, he was a lot like me, and in some ways. And then when I was being the bad guy, he was the good guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
You didn't have to teach him this. He knew from his experiences in coaching.
Yeah.
And when he was a bad guy, I'd go over and say, hey, he's kind of old. And
bear with him.
Bear with him. And, try to listen and be respectful.
Yeah.
Ron Finnick used to say all the time, he'd say, now listen, you know how many people it takes to hold down a crazy man?
Yeah.
7.
Yeah.
So if our whole defense goes crazy, they don't have enough guys to hold us.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what he's.
Yeah.
I thought,
They were moving the ball, and he was our defensive coach there
Yeah.
after he started coaching. I went down. Someone was moving the ball, and as I went down to him, followed him down the sidelines, I said, "Hey, you better get him stopped." Well, boy, I turned around pretty quick and went the other way and then he followed me down the sideline. Because, I mean, hey.
He didn't appreciate
No,
that.
he didn't like it. He didn't like it. But, he understood.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
Being an experience with his age and all that, with the coaching and all, he understood when he had to be tough and when I had to be tough. And he helped us get where we ended up.
Yeah.
So it was good.
Hey, guys, we got to pay the bills. Let's talk about AP Prep and how you look them up at apprep.info. You go in there. If you got a child and they need performance training, that's one of the things that they offer. And it's simple. Their performance training, it drives their athletes to seize full genetic potential. And first of all, they're going to assess your kids' overall balance, their mobility, their hand-eye coordination, their foot speed, understand all their body mechanics, their output, their strength, everything. Look them up, apprep.info. All the info's there. You'll see it. Then they got a boxing class for the adults. It's $10, or you can join by the month. These workouts, you can burn up to 1,000 calories an hour. So, guys, you can't beat it. Look it up. I know it's a drive over there. It's a good time for you and your kid. You'll love it. Do some good bonding time. apprep.info. Look them up.
Well, the one thing we got to mention before we knock over, you have a book that's out there.
A what?
A book.
Oh, yeah.
Which was a really good read. It's more stories like this, and people should check that out.
Yeah.
The Blackstone brothers, it's called, correct, Coach?
Yeah. Barry, twin brother, coach. Well, we both coached 54 years. I had 24, I think, in high school and 21 in college, something like that. Yeah. So, and then his son-in-law coached at Kentucky Christian and Limestone College, and we both helped him coach after we had both retired from our own jobs. So, and by the way, Mike Furry's his name. He's now the wide receiver coach at South Carolina, University of South Carolina. I just heard that, yeah. So, yeah, but Chad, you can mention any name that we had here, and I've got a story for him.
Yeah,
I name any player, from Wellston or Jackson, and there's a history.
Oh, absolutely.
And I've remembered everything that most of them have done. I used to give Morgan here. I'd give him like, what was it, $20 or $10, something.
20.
Every time I got paid, I'd slip $10 in his book or something.
Yeah.
So we were paying players.
Yeah.
Actually,
no wonder we got good down here. Yeah.
We actually started NIL.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say you gave us $20 to take your nieces and their friends out to the movie theater.
We did that once.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I was on that duty a couple times.
Yeah, we were in that once.
Yeah.
But hey, what the kids they did here. I mean, hey. I could go. How long does this show last?
How
long as you want.
Yeah.
Hey, you name any player. Mike, name a player.
Oh, let's see. Let's say Greg Dalton.
Greg Dalton. Okay, 145-pound Dalton.
Yeah.
Defensive back. Slow. No way is he go cover anybody in the defensive backfield. None.
Yeah.
So one day we needed a center. I said, "Hey, you're center." And so he played center. And his dad came shortly after that. I saw his dad, and I thought, well, his dad's going to say something. His dad said something like, Joe Dalton said his name. Great parent. Kind of parent that we had, I wanted.
Yeah.
He said, hey, I don't know what you're doing, but I hope it works. I said, well, I hope it works too. So about 3 or 4 times every game, they'd call holding on our center.
Yeah.
And I never hardly said a word. I mean, he had to hold because he couldn't block.
Yeah, well, he wasn't very big.
No, but
he
could
was tough.
hold.
And he was,
And he was tough.
Yeah.
And he helped us win games.
Yeah, he was a good wrestler.
He was a great wrestler and a great kid.
Yeah.
So, anyway, there's a story for every player, and ends up positive.
Yeah.
But it took a little time to get there. But who?
Rob Cosby.
Oh, Cosby. Yeah.
Yeah,
There's
we
another
just
kid.
lost him. Yeah.
He died. couple of these guys, you don't want to outlive your kids or the players you coach, really. But he was, I don't know, he was just a great kid. I don't know if I have a story on him or not, other than he just did everything exactly the way I told him to.
Yeah, Rob was one of those guys. He was a man of few words.
He didn't hardly say a word.
Yeah, I mean,
You didn't even like yelling at him because he didn't. He just looked the same as you were in his face
even keel.
or,
Yeah.
You know, for
But I bet he was the type that didn't make very many mistakes.
he
man.
made none.
Yeah, I mean,
Hey, if that was his guy, you tell him how to block him, show him who to block and how to block, and he blocked him.
you knew he was going to be
That's
blocked.
Rob Cosby. Thanks.
Yeah,
I like that. But I could go with Carlisle, Cosby,
How about Bo Kearns?
Bo Kearns. Hey, one time Bo Kearns. Let me throw this in there. One game, Bo Kearns. I told him there was a time I called timeout with 10 seconds to go in the game. We're behind 30 points, 35, 40 points behind. I'm calling timeout. So I'm on the field. I tell Bo Kearns, and I think it was your policeman here, Scott Conley. I said, hey, you pick out some guy. You got 10 seconds, and drive him as far as you can drive him. Well, hey, I'm walking off the field. The game's over. We've shake hands with everybody, and someone say, there's someone down the end zone. I look down the end zone. Conley and Bo Kearns has this guy from this other school down the end zone, just driving him in the ground. Yeah. So, anyway.
those two were great. In
They
the
were,
huddle. In the huddle. I'll never forget. Remember, it was a Portsmouth preview. They were getting us pretty good.
Yeah.
Bachtel was playing. They had a good line. They were good linebacker. We were having trouble, and I remember Conley and Kearns. Conley's like, man, that guy. I mean, this guy's good. And we'd come back to the huddle, and Bachtel's like, hey, I don't care what you guys got to do. Don't let that guy hit me like that again. Well, so we're having a conversation on the front, and Bo's like, well, I'll help you with him, bud. I'll get out there and help you. Well, so the next play, pretty close to the same result. Come back to the huddle, and Conley said, see, I told you that guy's good. He goes, you need to help me like that every play. And Bo's like, bud, that's your man.
Right.
I got another man to block here.
Got my own headache.
Hey, you brought up I can't help I got to add this in. You brought up the Portsmouth preview. Remember, we beat them one time.
Oh, yeah, man.
On a field goal by Steve Nickteen.
Yes.
In red high-top cleats. You
Yes.
remember that?
Soccer
He kicked it
style.
Soccer style.
Yeah, had that great big brace on his leg.
I always thought he was a better soccer player.
Really? Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I tease him. I say,
Yeah.
hey, remember when you
You're
were a
relation
soccer
to him,
guy?
aren't you?
By marriage,
Yeah,
kind of.
right.
His cousin, or my
Yeah.
cousin's his wife. But
We-
he won that game right at the end of
Yeah.
the half. He kicked that 30-yard field goal at Portsmouth.
Yeah.
Every player I had at Jackson and Wellston had something to do with a win.
Yeah.
I mean, at some point during their career, they had something major to do with the win.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I remember we had a guy at Wellston. His name was Vickers, and boy, he had his. I coached him hard.
Hey, I just thought of who that punter was.
Oh
It was Billy Speakman.
no,
No?
no.
Okay.
No, there's a blonde-haired kid, tall, blonde-haired guy. What was his name? Shoot, I can't remember his name.
I'll tell you what.
If I heard it, I'd know.
Well, Wiley will know.
but I know Speakman.
One question. I mean, we'll ask Wiley once. He'll throw the name out right now.
Yeah. You're not going to name a name I don't know.
Yeah.
But it wasn't Speakman. But what was this boy? Anyway, hey,
Yeah.
every
We'll
kid I
figure it out.
had
Yeah.
did something positive to help us. And you know what? I don't know. I don't know how to explain this, but Jackson and Wellston, the kids here, hey, they were something. Well, they're my favorite place. That's all there is to it.
And that's awesome.
I thought Wellston was because I was there in '73.
Yeah.
Then I came to Jackson. Then I thought they were, and then I went back to Wellston. I think, well, hey, the only place I haven't been in Jackson County was Oak Hill, and I don't know how their kids are. But I know Jackson and Wellston kids.
You can get them. They'll get in the weight room and you can make them.
They'll
fight.
do whatever you tell them. They want to win, and they won't back down from nobody.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hutchison and that Brad Young and Brennan boys at Wellston.
Yeah.
Hey, when I went to Wellston too, by the way, we can throw Wellston in here too, right?
Oh yeah. Heck yeah.
Hey, I went to Wellston the first day. They had 6 guys line up at fullback. Brendan, Dusty Rhodes, Murdoch, 6 of the best looking kids we had, all lined up at fullback. Chad Wonders.
Yeah.
I thought, I just went down the Ryan and I said, you're a guard, you're guard, the other guard.
Yeah.
You're this, you're that. They just lined up, and that was the end of it. Never said another word.
Like all the best looking athletes on the team were playing fullback.
All played fullback. And they wonder why they weren't winning.
Yeah.
Hey,
Have guys like that on the bench.
hey. I didn't want no one like that on the bench.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, they did something. We had a weight room at Wellston too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in fact, we built a bigger weight room.
Yeah.
So let me tell you a story. You say, how did I get to Jackson? Well, I want to tell you how I got to Wellston. I get to Wellston with my coach, but the second time I went to Wellston, after Jackson and Bloom Carroll and whatever, Alan Arthur had called me and said, hey, we need a coach. And said, I hated you when you were at Jackson. I said, well, thank you.
Thanks, yeah.
That's nice to know. But we need a coach over here. I want you to take this job. I said, okay, because I like Jackson County. So I said, yeah, I'm interested in that. He said, it's your job. I thought, well, good.
Yeah.
So I drove down there. They said, you got to interview. So I was waiting on the interview. There was 3 other guys interviewing before me. So I told Alan, I said, I thought it was my job. He said, yeah. He said, I think it's your job. I didn't have a tie or anything. I went over to Bill Fife. You know Bill Fife?
Yeah.
Went to his house. Now, this is the kind of guy he was. I went to his house. I said, I need a tie. So I got his tie and went back to the interview at Wellston High School.
Yeah. Because you're thinking, hey, this isn't an interview. We're just going to work stuff out and talk about.
And I had my bag there, and I said, what's in that satchel, that case? I said, that's my lunch.
Yeah.
You know, you said I had the job.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, it all worked out because I got that tie, Bill Fifo. There's people in my life that have been, Bill Fife, and then he ended up coaching with me too.
Yeah.
And he'd been the head coach over there and had good success and all that.
Yeah.
And everyone in Wellston loved him. So he headed off some guys that didn't like what I was doing right away. So, hey, when you start and you're losing, you got to have one goal. My goal was to build some character and get these guys believing that they can win.
Right. And when you're losing, when you're having bad seasons, and then everybody's a critic at that point.
Pretty much. My wife
and an expert.
Like I told you, said, hey, so and so, son, I don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
No, don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
Hey, when I was at Williams, Gerald Williams, remember him?
Bill Williams.
Oh, Bill, Wild Bill.
Okay,
Man.
when I was at Jackson, the first scrimmage,
I remember this.
some guys yelling at me from the stands. I just got here.
Yeah.
It was Bill Williams.
Yeah.
So I said to, he yelled something. I said, shut up or something.
Yeah, you turned around to say, would you shut up?
Yeah, I just turned around and looked at him. And I thought, I didn't notice how he was built and how big he was. I just yelled at him. And after the game, the players all had hot dogs out at the concession stand. So I went down there, and Walburn was the AD. Mm-hmm. I said, hey, who's that big guy over there? He said, that's the guy you yelled at. I said, good Lord. I should have been looking a little harder before I started yelling. But that's when something's on your mind, and my job is to get these guys convinced that they're as good as anybody.
Yeah.
And you know what? Over the last 20 years or 30 years, they've proven that day after day, year after year. And you were telling me across the street here, Brandon owns this, Brennan owns this, and Joel Wood owns this, and Brad Munn. Now, Brad Munn didn't play football.
Yeah.
He was a basketball guy.
Right.
But he did give me a Big Mac every once in a while when I went to. So he was trying to help us. Yeah. Not on the field.
He did his part. Yeah.
Big Macs, cherry pie or something there he'd throw in there extra.
I always thought he had a great way of getting buy-in.
Oh, well, well, I think that's the whole key to the turnaround, man. Well, I think it's fair to say, Coach, you're a unique individual.
I've heard that before.
And when you came in, it was like you were larger than life.
Well,
we hadn't heard any kind of message like the message you were delivering
From the heart.
Yeah, and ever.
Well.
You know what I mean? Like we just hadn't, the expectation was never as high.
No.
It was, I mean, heck, I remember I was a freshman. We went out and did that 2-mile run. I come back and I mean, I was about dead. and you didn't like the look of my face coming across you're like, my God, listen at you. I mean, I was probably breathing hard, panting or something.
I think you were.
You said, man, I mean, that's soft.
You know,
I mean,
Chad,
soft.
When I took this job, I had a coaches meeting. I was staying at Comfort Inn one night, and 7 coaches, the coaches that were here.
Yeah.
So I went out the first day, the coaches, and put them through all the drills. I wanted them to teach our kids. So I had them do a 3-man roll, wave drill, back and forth, all backward pedal. These coaches.
Yeah.
One of the coaches had some age on him. The librarian,
Tom Payne.
Tom Payne.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a great guy and a great coach, but hey, I had him in a back pedal waving and sweat pouring off of him. And they're all thinking, hey, this might not be working.
Yeah.
And I saw them all huddled up together. I knew what they were saying and what they were thinking.
Yeah.
But, again, I didn't care what they were thinking.
No.
Didn't matter to me. And them guys in the stands, when they'd say something, I could care less what they were saying.
Yeah.
I cared about what Chad Reynolds said.
Yeah, right.
Or
Or who was it?
Mike
Yeah.
Morgan, or Ryan Mapes, or Chris Hutchison.
Yeah.
You know what it all boiled down to me, though, and I think what you always knew and have always known, is that young people, if they know you care about them, you can get after them pretty good.
Right.
And they realize it real quick.
Well,
Who cares
I think what
and
happened.
Who doesn't? And
Here's
as a
the other
person,
thing.
You cared about the kids.
I cared about them.
And
Well-
it shows whether we believed it or not. We all
Well,
realized
we
it.
started seeing results too.
Yeah.
Like, hey, what he's saying here, man, if I go to the weight room every day and do this, I'm going to get stronger, and that's going to transition to being better
Yeah.
on the field and everything. I mean, and you start seeing that, like, oh man, I'm getting kind of strong. It's like what he's saying is,
Yep.
it works, you know.
And when I saw 2 guys carrying a 50-pound dumbbell in the weight room, I knew we were in trouble. Normally you want them to carry at least one by themselves.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I remember you were classic for walking through the halls. Like
Oh,
anybody
yeah.
that you thought should have been out and
I recruited.
and play, yeah, and then, but then you also
I recruited
liked it-
Marty Exline.
Oh yeah, I think he was like playing just basketball and baseball.
Yep.
Yeah, he didn't play any junior high football.
No.
Yeah, but you'd come by, grab somebody's arm, like,
Yeah.
hey, let me borrow that. I need to floss my teeth, or you know.
Spaghetti. I mean, like spaghetti
Yeah.
string or some kind.
That's right. Hey, what's that string hanging off your
Yeah, it'd be
Yeah.
like,
Oh,
my
that's
God,
your
my
arm.
God, you look soft.
Yeah,
I
they
mean,
were.
weak. Yeah.
He wasn't lying. Hey, my dad taught us this one time. We lived on a farm and we had 3 boys, and we'd work every day. I
Yeah.
mean, it was 365. We had a dairy farm. So 4 in the morning, 4 at night. There was no days off. He'd work, and we'd talk together. Say, like these guys would talk, hey, this guy, I don't know. I was talking about my dad. Hey, I don't know how much more of this I can take. And Barry would say something, Richard would say something, my brothers. Yeah. But right before we'd head for the house, he'd say, hey, thanks a lot, boys, for all you did today. I'm saying, did he really know? I did that ever since.
Yeah.
Before any kid left, because I coached them hard. Before they left, or somehow I try to let them know, hey, that I appreciate them and I cared about them. And my dad never said he loved us.
Hey guys, while we're paying the bills, let's talk about one of our oldest sponsors that's been with us since the beginning. Geiger Brothers. Geiger Brothers is headquartered in Jackson, Ohio, with offices in Columbus, Ohio, and Knoxville, Tennessee. We provide construction services in Ohio, Kentucky, West Virginia, and Tennessee. A veteran and dynamic staff of talented people, symbolic of our 100-year history of success, gives Geiger Brothers a distinct advantage. Leveraging that experience for our customers allows us the ability to provide consistent and superior performance for their construction, engineering, and fabrication needs. And hey, we've had several of these guys on our shows. Scott Massey, Kyle Hickey, Shay Meredith, just to name a few. Go back, look through some of the old episodes and get to know them. It's a great group of people that have been with us for a long time, and we certainly appreciate it. So enjoy tonight's show, courtesy of Geiger Brothers here in Jackson.
They just didn't say it. They loved us and all.
You knew they did.
Yeah, there's no question, but they never said it.
Yeah.
The first guy that said he loved me was the first male was my college football coach.
Deacon Duvall, right?
I looked at him like, what's he? What's wrong with him? But he did. He loved us. And so I've been able to use that word a lot more recently.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So all the kids here, that's how I feel about all of them. Wellston and Jackson, can't beat them.
Yeah.
All of us love you.
Yeah, man. And we're looking forward to this thing tonight because, it seems like normally, Coach, when you're coming back to see, guys that played for you or whatever, it's normally for a sad occasion.
Yeah, if you're dead.
Yeah.
I'm not dead.
Yeah, I know.
So that's what I was going to say tonight. Hey, I'm not even dead.
Yeah.
And look what's going on.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, it's just like, whenever last time you'd see, now Mike and Steve and I and Andrew always tried to come to one of your games every year.
Yep.
But then but like, I know like Butch made the comment, like, man, the only time I've seen Coach is when we've been at like a funeral or something. And we thought it'd be fun to, hey man, let's get together.
I'm all for
where
it.
Where nobody's dead.
So hey, I'm all for it. And he said, Butch is the guy that called me first and said, hey, would I come? I said, hey, if one guy's there, I'll be there.
Yeah.
We'll be there.
Yeah.
Hey, one other thing. I noticed my wife today.
Yeah.
She's here. She'll be here this evening. But she's got a sweatshirt on. It has Lucky. I'm saying, boy, she's fitting right into. She thinks she's lucky. Hey,
I need to get my wife a sweatshirt like that.
I'm going to bring that out tonight too. Hey, hey, you guys, hey, you're lucky. Wife's lucky.
Yeah,
we're all lucky.
Yeah,
we're lucky.
Just for me, the Wellston boys, ask you about the story whenever they came and watched us, because it's interesting to hear because it also lit our fire.
It was the best practice we had all year.
It was probably one of my most memorable.
It was during 2-a-days. We were coaching here. He was playing, and your guys, I don't know, they might have been off that afternoon or something. And I mean, the whole team came down, pulled in there by the track, by the Jackson, right there where we were practicing. Holy shit, our guys just started. I mean, it was the best practice we had all year. And
when was this now? When I was coaching at Wellston?
You were at Wellston, yeah.
But I wasn't with him.
No.
I kept bragging about Jackson.
They probably sick of hearing it, probably. Or
Well, maybe. Hey, but
We always thought that was you set them down for an intimidation.
no. I'm not that smart. No, I didn't even know about it. I swear.
I remember
I've
you
never
telling
heard
us.
that.
I remember you were telling us. I think you were joking, but like sometimes you'd be like, "Hey, get off the bus, go over and shake that fence."
I did say that.
Yeah. Hey, get off the bus, go over and just grab a hold of that fence and just shake it like a wild man.
I did that at Wellston. We had this kid, Ben Heiser.
Oh yeah.
Big, strongest kid ever. I said, hey, take your shirt off and lead us off the bus.
Yeah.
He first guy off the bus every time. Yeah. Big, strong looking, still is.
Take your shirt off.
Take your shirt off, and he'd go out there and lead him off.
Did you say, hey, rattle the fence a little bit when you get off?
I've said that.
Yeah.
I think we got dressed at Jackson and just
Went
drove to Wellston and got off the
did.
bus and lined up for the kickoff.
We did.
Like we warmed up.
We warmed up on our field.
And then I think we just walked right out on the field and lined up.
Yep.
That's full uniform.
Yeah. Yep.
Hey, we tried
do you remember,
anything we could try.
Do you remember Coach Angles, Dave Angles?
Oh yeah.
He jumped off the bus and grabbed some sign or something and came on, like put his forehead through it and cut himself and everything else. It's like, wow, dude.
Yeah. How about the time we went to Logan?
Hey, that's one of my favorites.
Now, this might be the best one.
Yeah.
We had two buses going to Logan, and we're predicted to get mauled. Okay, so we head to the Logan, and have that little pull-off there, park.
Right as you're coming into town before you
right
get to
as you
Wendy's.
get into town. Yeah. So I told the bus drivers, pull in there. So they both pulled in there. Everyone got off the bus. So I said to everybody, we're all huddled up, 60 guys or two bus loads.
Yeah.
I said, if you think we're going to get beat, get on that bus because it's going back to Jackson.
Yeah, that was the chicken shit
Chicken
bus, if
shit
I remember
bus
right.
was
Yeah.
going back to
If you think we're going to win, get on this bus. Well, of course, everyone got on this bus. So we had
And then it was
60
packed.
guys
Yeah.
or 70 guys on one bus.
Yeah.
The other bus followed us to the game.
Yeah.
Empty.
Yeah. Yeah.
But on the way to
and
that
I mean-
bus, though, we destroyed the shrubs. Like they ran right
I
through the
don't know.
bushes.
Hey,
I mean-
I said, get on the bus. They destroyed the park.
Yeah.
I mean, they did.
Yeah, that was great. That was and was that the same year? Or I remember we were at Logan one time. We were out there. They put us out there in that pool. Like it's a terrible locker room. It's across the street. And you gave us all a piece of gum. Told us the story about the dog Curtis. And I mean, that was he like, you know, hey, he chased cars and then he got ran over by that car, but you went down there and by God, he had a piece of the tire hanging out of his mouth.
Yeah, we had Mike. I had a dog. It was named. I called him Mike.
Yeah.
When I took him to the vet, and the vet said, "Hey, he's female." I said, "Okay." His name's Curtis. Then, now, if you know Mike Curtis, he's the guy that you see on the old films that runs down. There's some player runs down on the field. The ball's on the middle of the field in the NFL. Grabs the ball and tries to take off. Have you seen this? Well, there's a guy that did that one time, and Mike Curtis was playing for the Baltimore Colts, and he slugged this guy, knocked him unconscious. He says, "That's my ball.
Yeah.
That's our ball." So I called my dog Curtis. Yeah. I wanted the guys, and he was kind of a tough. Anyway, this dog was a chasing rabbits. What do you call them? Beagles.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's a beagle. So he's. And I lived, this is in Wellston, so I lived out in the country a little bit, and he was always barking, and it's kind of like good stuff, you know. So one night, he wouldn't come in. So anyway, I laid down, went to sleep or something. The phone rang, and my neighbor called and said, "Hey, your dog's laying out in the road. He got hit." So I went out, looked through the curtain there, and there he was. I knew it was him. So I went out, picked him up, took him back, was to go bury him. Dug a hole in the backyard to go bury him. And when I turned him over, there was something in his mouth. And it was a piece of rubber that he bit the tire. Yeah. I swear there was a piece of tire in his mouth. Yeah. And he had bit the tire and took a hunk out of the tire. So I'm telling these guys, hey, you may get mauled, you may get beat. Hey, take a bite out of it. I mean, take something. Show some kind of toughness. Yeah, that's Mike Curtis. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember you said,
about
I
that.
think that's exactly what you said too. Hey, you might get
know.
mauled. You know, you guys might get mauled.
Right.
But you better leave a mark.
Well, actually, it was at halftime. We were already behind 30-0.
Yeah.
I can tell you that.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, okay, we may not win this game, but hey, let them know you were here.
Yeah.
And you know what? We went out there and played. So that's another little step.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a ladder.
Yeah.
And we kept doing some things and kept getting better. They kept getting stronger.
Yeah.
They started believing in each other.
Yeah.
And I mean, our kids, and they're still friends. They're all friends. I mean, they're like a fraternity, you know?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it's Wellston's kids, same thing.
Yeah.
You went to something last night. That was you. 4 or 5, what? Chad Ward, who were they? Chris Irvin.
J.J. Brown.
J.J. Brown.
Mike Phipps.
There you go.
In there.
Mike Phipps.
I hadn't seen some of them in almost 30 years.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that, man.
All these names. Hey,
They're all
Mike
sitting
Phipps.
together.
Strongest kid probably maybe to play high school football.
Oh yeah, he was.
And we played Marietta that day, and I let him have it because the strongest guy on the field and did not block anybody. I mean, until at the second half. At halftime, I let him have it.
Yeah.
He went out there and was, mauling people. And then he realized, hey, you know what? I can do this all the time.
Yeah.
And then he started, and then he was a great player.
Yeah.
They all, you got to have some success there. And then, boy, once you have it, take off.
Yeah.
And Jackson's proved that right here.
Oh my God,
they're not looking back.
No.
So,
but I still like to argue and bring up the point often that I feel like our group, meaning you and your players back in the late '80s, early '90s, is what flipped the tire there.
I'm telling you, they laid the groundwork, and And
The expectation changed forever.
yep.
I mean,
I
it
agree.
was just,
Hey, we had a guy one time too, Mike Meacham. Remember Meacham?
Rob
Rob Meacham. Yeah. Hey, he punched a referee in a game one time.
Hey, yeah, well, we didn't encourage that, of course. Hey, there's a couple I wouldn't mind sending them after, but I didn't.
Yeah.
That wasn't me. But there was, the sideline at Jackson, the old school was.
Yeah.
There wasn't much room on the sideline.
No.
Well, one time the band was down there getting ready for the half. Well, Meacham was not the nicest kid on the team, and big, and he was shoving band people around trying to get through where he wanted to be.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I didn't see it, but after the game, this girl band director, she was a girl. I don't know what she played in the band, but she's in the band. Well, her dad didn't like what he'd seen, and I wouldn't have liked it either. But he comes in the locker room and said, "Hey, coach, what?" He said that Meacham, that number 81, was his number 81?
73.
73. That 73 shoved my daughter. I want you to do something about it. I said, well, hey, right over where he is, go do something about it. He didn't. He went. He looked over at Meacham a little bit and said, well, okay. Out the door he went. Yeah. So, hey, that Meacham big, had Ty Walk and Jason Brown. Remember him?
Oh, heck yeah.
Not Jason Brown.
Shane.
Shane Brown.
Yeah.
Jason's his brother.
Yeah.
Shane Brown. All these kids, though, have gone on here and done,
Yeah.
they've done great.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about, too.
Heck yeah. I mean, it's fun to look back and like I said, I can't wait to see some of those guys tonight. I haven't seen some of them probably in 20 years.
I just hope I recognize some of them.
Hey, guys, let's pay some bills here. Tonight's show is brought to you by the Kelly Wiley Group of Keller Williams Excel Realty. I tell you, we all know Kelly, and we all know the group down at Kelly Wiley Realty, and I'm telling you, you won't find a better class of people to deal with. A verifiable fact, something that I found very interesting. They are the #1 real estate agency in Southern Ohio, and it doesn't shock me. I tell you, there's 180 different items that a home buyer and a home seller must do whenever you buy or sell a house. The Kelly Wiley team is great at all of them. They will help you out from start to finish. They have some of the most up-to-date processes and systems that you can possibly dream of. You're going to love the whole entire experience. So if I were you, I would give those guys a call at 740-577-3795. That's 740-577-3795. Or you can also look at all of their inventory at kellywileygroup.com.
Yeah, you got the tough job there.
I'll know who they are. I just have to get their name and their faces together.
Yeah. Well, hey, Coach, it's going to be a busy day for you. I appreciate you stopping by, talking to us. We could go for hours, but thanks for giving us some time and coming in and doing this. We appreciate it, and hopefully we can do another one sometime.
See you later.
Thank you.
See you later, guys.